Rogue is back, and this time it's been speed tuned. But just how much has the performance changed since the previous Rogue model? Let's find out. It's time for a Rogue off. The new Rogue model is all about fine margins. How can lots of small things be improved to boost their overall performance? Now, the most obvious new technology is the tungsten speed cartridge. That's that big gold bit here on the back. Now, this is designed to bring weight back and lower in the head. It's going to boost MRI, give you more forgiveness, and hopefully improve your overall performance. So let's see just how we get on with it. Now, first up, I've got the brand new Rogue ST Max. Now, this is in a 9-degree head, and I've got the Tensai Mitsubishi Blue shaft in here. It's 55 grams and it's a stiff, so a pretty good match overall for me. So let's go hit some shots and see how it performs. Now, I've always been a fan of a gloss driver. I just think it's very traditional, but I do have to say this new matte colouring looks really good behind the golf ball. Now, throughout this range, we've got kind of really oversized, stretched head profiles, and it's just really kind of confidence inspiring over the ball. I definitely like that. The top is pretty simple, but we do have this little bit of colour down the back, and it just looks really great behind the golf ball. Oh, that felt nice. Definitely felt quite quick off the face. Come out a little bit low though, and the spin numbers are quite low too, but not too bad for my first shot. Now, there are 4 drivers in this new range. As this is the Max model, this is designed to be the one that most people are going to fit into. It's designed to be the most forgiving as it has the most MRI, and it's going to give you the best blend of distance and forgiveness for this range. Touch right. Ball speed's been pretty consistent though. Seem to have a bit of the rights today. So far, the smash factor has been really consistently impressive. 1.5 as a driver is pretty much the mark you're looking for, and it shows you've got really efficient ball speed for your club head speed. Whew. 1.5 on smash. I think that's one of the highest I've ever got. I have to say the feel of this is really nice, and it does feel really fast off the face. I mean, that was 143.4 ball speed, which is probably the quickest I've seen in testing so far this year. That felt quick. 144.5 ball speed and 217 carry. Definitely my best so far. I am really impressed with the distance and ball speed so far, but some of the shots are coming off a bit lower than I would have expected. Given the amount of weight we've kind of got low and back here, I probably would have expected this to launch a bit higher. For me, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I can launch the ball way too high sometimes, but if you're someone who wants a bit of extra height, you might be a bit worried about that. Having said that, this is a 9-degree head, so you can easily go up to a 10.5 or a 12 if you want more launch. To be honest, I was pretty impressed with that performance. The ball speed numbers were up there, as I was averaging nearly 143 mile an hour on average and averaging out at about 212 carry distance. The spin was also really good in the low 2000s. If I had one criticism, it was probably that the dispersion was slightly right biased, but that was definitely my fault because I was leaving the club face open, and that's not really Callaway's problem. Now, this could be a visual thing for me. This is slightly draw biased, and I hate seeing the ball going left. So maybe I've just counterbalanced that by keeping the club face open a little bit, but to be honest, it wasn't that bad because it was very consistent. I was missing in a similar spot. So in terms of out on the course, it'd be really easy to manage this. Probably what was also really impressive was just how consistent this was with both kind of the distance and the ball speed and the smash factor numbers, which just shows you really how efficient this face is and how well that ball speed is turning into carry distance. Right, time to hit the previous Rogue and see just how it stacks up and what improvements have been made. Now, visually over the ball, you can see where that confidence-inspiring shape has come from in the Rogue ST, but I would say now I've gone back to the shiny look, I definitely prefer the matte. Overall, the shaping is a bit different here. It feels more rounded and deeper, and probably not quite as confidence-inspiring as we saw with the new model. Now, I've got the same shaft in this, but this is a 10.5 head, so we're going to see a little bit of difference in terms of launch because of that. Now that's carried 205, which isn't that bad, but the ball speed's down at 137. I don't think I saw anything below 140 with the Rogue ST. Snuck up to 140 there, so definitely a bit higher, and the carry was also up at 213. Ball speed is definitely averaging a little bit lower, and I think it's probably more noticeable on not necessarily my good strikes. I think probably what was more noticeable with the Rogue ST was that even if I didn't quite strike it my best, the ball speed and the carry were still quite up there. It's probably quite a bit in terms of kind of forgiveness there. Definitely doesn't feel as nice off the face either. Just doesn't feel quite as solid. Feels a bit more tinny, if that's a good way to describe it. Probably one of my best strikes yet. That was really nice. Smash factor up at 1512, 212 carry. Seems to be quite a big difference in launch angle, I would say, so far. Oh, that was really good. That was probably my best strike yet, and I managed to get that up to 142 ball speed, which is pretty close to what we were seeing with the Rogue ST, but not quite as good. To be honest, that was still a pretty strong performer, but let's go see how it stacked up in terms of the data. Now that was definitely pretty interesting. Obviously this is a lot older product, but we were seeing quite substantial differences. On my good shots, the Rogue was nearly up there in terms of distance, but overall on average it was 9 yards shorter. This came down to the fact that there was about 4 miles an hour less ball speed. Now, the real big problem with this was that my front to back dispersion was so much bigger, and there was such a wide difference between my shortest carry and my longest carry, whereas with the Rogue ST it was a lot more consistent. So if you were out on the course and you were trying to carry hazards or bunkers, it would be a lot more difficult to do this with the previous Rogue because you have such a big variable in carry distance. It was noticeable that the previous Rogue was a little bit more neutral down the target line, but I wonder if that's just a visual thing for me with how the face sits between the two models. But in terms of consistency, the Rogue ST still had a smaller dispersion. Now when I was testing, my club head speed and my spin were very consistent between both models, so it really goes to show you just how much the new technologies in the club head are really driving up that ball speed and giving you more distance. Now obviously, you would expect a big difference in performance here. After all, there is a massive time span between these two products coming out. So how does the Rogue ST perform against last year's Epic Speed? Well, I've hit a few shots with that to find out. Now, as you would expect, the data is much closer here, but there is still a bit of a difference. My club head speed was very similar with both models, but my ball speed actually went down 3 miles an hour with the Epic, so I was 3 miles an hour faster with the new Rogue ST. In terms of distance, I ended up with about a 2 yards extra carry distance with the Rogue ST, but I would say the distance was a little bit more consistent with the Rogue ST, and my front to back dispersion was slightly smaller. So you're definitely getting that extra help on your bad shots, as well as getting that little bit extra carry distance overall. Now, what's pretty interesting is though, initially with the Rogue ST, I didn't really feel like it was flying that high, but then compared to the Epic, which was a 10.5 head compared to the 9 in the Rogue, they were actually very similar. So it just goes to show you how much tech they've got low and back in that head to help you with that launch. So if you're someone who needs a little bit of extra height, you definitely might see that here. And also if you're someone who needs the extra height, it might give you that, but also some extra hang time, which is going to increase your carry distance. Now overall, it's pretty clear to see. There's been a serious jump in performance here since the original Rogue model, and still some marginal gains over last year's Epic speed. So depending on what model you've got in play currently, really depends on if it's time for you to upgrade yet. Right, that's all for today. If you have any questions about any of these models or any in the Callaway lineup, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. As always, make sure you like this video, and if you're new, subscribe to our channel. And if you're after more golf content, head over to the National Club Golfer social media channels for more.